OpenAI just released the new Codex app. It's built on one simple idea: strip away everything that gets between you and your work. No file browser, no editor. You just tell it what you want done and let it get to work. I'll be honest with you, at first it kind of threw me, but once I understood what it was trying to do, it started to make a lot more sense. So let me walk you through what the Codex app is, what it does, and where it might or might not fit into your workflow. One quick note before we dive in: it is currently available only for Mac users. Sorry, Windows folks. But the good news is it's available to everyone. Free and Go subscriptions will have limited token use, and all other plans will have double rate limits for a limited time. OpenAI tends to be generous with their new products, so if you've been interested in Codex, but you couldn't quite justify the cost, this is your window. Jump in there and try it out. All right, let me show you what we're looking at. This might look a little bit familiar if you've used Anti-Gravity's Agent IDE. Over here on the left-hand side, you'll see a list of what they're calling threads. Over here in the main panel, it'll ask you what project you want to work on. You can select one or add a new project. Now, the naming over here kind of confused me at first because these threads, they're using it for both the project level and the conversation level. These threads are all conversations that you have about your project. And you even see that over here when it says select your project, add a new project. It's a little bit confusing. I wish they had called out the fact that these are projects explicitly instead of calling them threads, but there you are. The threads over here on the side menu are organized by project and then conversation within each project. If you've ever used Codex in the cloud before, you might see some of your previous conversations over here. It looks like they're carrying those cloud conversations through over here to this threads menu. So once you've selected a project to work on, you can work locally, you can work in a Git work tree. I don't quite understand what those are. I've heard them roughly described as different branches of your repo in separate projects. I'm definitely not going to get into that here. Or you can work in the cloud. And this would be similar to Codex in the cloud that you've seen before. If you haven't, there's tons of videos about that. Go take a look at those. So far, I've done all of my work locally because that's just how I've got everything set up at the moment. And so that's pretty much it. And that's kind of the key to understanding this thing. There is no other side panel with files in it. You can at any time open your project in the IDE or terminal of your choice, just like you usually would. But inside here, you're not working on files directly. You're not even browsing files. This is just an agent orchestrator. They want you to come in here, select a project, and just tell the agent what to do and let the agent go work on it. And while that agent is working on one request, you can switch to a completely different project and have an agent work on tasks over there too. This is trying to get out of your way and let you get your work done. So let's talk about a couple of the features that it's got that I really like. Once you've gone inside of a project and asked it to take care of a task for you, up here they've got a run button for you. The very first time you come in to run, you need to tell it what to do in order to run. So once you have that written down and saved, it's going to remember it for you forever. This is nice for someone like me who walks away from a project and 3 months later comes back, can't remember how to run it. So once you've got that saved, you can just hit the run button and it will open a terminal down here in the bottom panel for you. Start the server and you can see all the output. They've also given us a toggle button for that terminal panel. So anytime you do need the terminal, you can just pop it open at the bottom of the screen and do whatever work you need to do right here. You don't need to open up a separate terminal or a separate warp window or whatever. They're trying to give you the tools you need all in one place. And that kind of goes along with what they're doing over here with the multiple projects. If you're working on either multiple tasks in one project or even multiple tasks across multiple projects, you know that your desktop can get pretty cluttered with like a whole bunch of cursor windows or a bunch of warp terminals open all over the place. And they're trying to do away with that. This gives you the ability to work in multiple projects all in one place. You can come into one project, ask it to get started on something, and then while that agent is working, you can go into a completely different project and fire off a couple of different tasks. They've also given us a Git commands button. It's pretty simple. It's just got commit, push, and create a PR. So once the agent's completed the work and you've tested it, you're happy with it, you can just go ahead and commit it right from this menu. You can let it auto create a message. You can commit or commit and push all right here in one place. One of the other quick action buttons that I think they've given us on this main window is a toggle for what I think is YOLO mode. When you turn this on, Codex has full access over your computer, elevated risk. Now, I don't usually run in YOLO mode, but for this, I decided just to go ahead and give it access. It completed the entire task without ever asking me for permission to do anything. I know a lot of people run in YOLO mode. I just always forget the command to start it up at the beginning, and I've just never bothered to look it up. But it is nice that it is giving us that quick switch right here, because I have to admit it was really nice to just be able to turn that on, ask the agent to do something, and go work on something else without worrying that it's waiting on me for input. Now you can definitely set that to be on all the time by default. There's a full configuration menu in here, sandbox mode. I left it on default, but it does look like it's got full access as an option if you just always want to run it like that without having to flip that toggle switch for every single action that you're taking. The other thing that I think is kind of cool is they've got an entire skills section built right into the app. More and more we're seeing skills being sort of the useful feature to add into a project. And so I like that they've given us essentially a marketplace built right in here. At the top, it shows you the skills you've already got installed. And then down here, you can search through recommended ones, or you can search for a new one, add a new skill. The only thing I found slightly irritating was when I added a new skill, it adds it globally. There didn't seem to be any way to add it at just a project level. That's probably okay, and honestly, I probably should be installing my skills at the global level anyway, but I've just been a little bit hesitant about loading every single project of mine with every single skill. I know the agents are getting a lot better about it. We've got progressive loading of skills now, but I still kind of wish I could do it on a per project level instead of just global. But that's what it does. And honestly, I'll take the fact that it makes it so easy to install a skill over that granularity that I may or may not actually need. All right, so the parts I didn't like quite as well. I did mention that you can't see the files in here. They have given us a way to view the diffs on the file that they're changes, but honestly, I don't really find that useful. I'm not in the actual code pretty much ever. I'm just letting the agents do their things. But more and more recently, I've incorporated as part of my workflow either actually working on documentation in Claude Code, or at a minimum having sort of an initial brain dump markdown file in my project that I like to be able to go edit and add to and read from time to time. Also, like I said, I've been adding skills on a project level as I'm testing them out, and sometimes I need to go into that markdown file and read exactly what the skill is doing or see if there's something that I'm missing. And so for those types of projects, I don't think I'll be coming to the Codex app. There's just no way to see the files that are here. There's no way to even see the project structure that's in here. You really would have to come in here and open up your project in one of these other tools, just like you normally would. In that case, I'm literally just back to the old workflow, the way that I usually would do things in Cursor or in Warp. So while it's nice that they do give us that quick launch capability, I could see that being handy. This just is not a tool that you'd use if you have to be in and out of your actual files at all often. It's just not built for that. But that being said, if you're in the type of project where normally you might open Cursor and immediately close all those panels with the files and even the file system and just let the agent window take the full space and get to work, this is probably the app for you. They're just trying to let you get in here, get all the clutter out of the way, and let you talk to as many agents as you possibly can to get all your work done. So there's just one other thing I want to mention real quickly. I asked an agent for what I thought was a simple task. It went off, created a plan, and I could see a list of 5 things that it was on its task list to do. I left for a while, I was doing something else. I came back about half an hour later and it still said 0 of 5 tasks complete. And because they're trying to keep the verbosity down, they're not spitting out just this huge list of what it's working on anymore, which is kind of good. But because of that, I literally could not tell what it was doing. I couldn't tell if it was stuck in a loop. I couldn't tell if it was working on something tricky. I just had no idea what it was working on. Eventually it did come back, and then the other 4 tasks were almost immediate. I will say it's entirely likely that that was completely due to the fact that this is day 1, they just dropped this app, and everybody is probably hammering on the servers. Because one of the other tasks that I tried in a different project was they've got this option here, create a 1-page PDF that summarizes this app. I thought I'd go create that real quickly in another project just to sort of see how it worked. And it took so long, I actually ended up having to stop it. It just couldn't even finish the task. And this was not a complicated project. So I do think that, like all other OpenAI first day drops, we're probably going to see some slow response times because in their generosity, they've given everybody access. And so everybody wants to use it right away. So be ready for just a little bit longer than normal wait time. So here's pretty much the bottom line. This app is built for delegation. You come in, you tell the agent what you want, you let it get to work. This is for those days when you're in that heads down mode, when you just come in, you have a list of things that needs to get done, and you just need them done. You're not in there to edit the files yourself. You're not creating new documents. You are just trying to work. So this isn't for those days when you need visibility into your files. This isn't for those days when you're editing or doing documentation. That's just a different workflow. That's just a different app. That's not what this product was built for. Not a criticism. It's just literally the wrong tool for that job. And there's one other thing that is worth mentioning. It's the automations. So the automations are scheduled tasks that you can ask it to perform. Scan recent commits, draft weekly release notes, summarize yesterday's Git activity for stand-up. These aren't things that I need. I'm kind of just working by myself. So a lot of these automations don't really apply to me, but there probably are a couple that I would find handy once I look into this just a little bit more. It looks like it's pretty well set up. You create the automation, you tell it where you want to run, you give it a prompt, and then you can schedule it daily or by interval and just let it run. It's nice that there's a tool that helps with these kinds of tasks. So the Codex app is a really solid release from OpenAI. I love that they've given us another tool to use. It's got some really nice touches. I like that run button. I like the Git commands, and I really like the multi-project option. That was one of the things about anti-gravity that really made me fall in love with that tool when it first came out. This is definitely a tool that's really set up to let you fire off tasks and just step back. It's not trying to be an IDE, it's not trying to be a file system, and that's okay. What it is trying to help you focus on just the things that you need to get the work done. And if you've been curious about Codex, but you didn't want to pay for the higher subscription fee or the API fee, now's your chance. Get in there and give this thing a shot. Open a project and see if you like how it works. All right, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.